Welcome to episode 22 of Believe in TCU as part of the Believe Network. I'm Zion Trammell, and I'm joined today by Seth Dowdle. We've got a loaded episode, lots to talk about TCU athletics with some breaking news as of Wednesday morning surrounding TCU athletic director Jeremiah Donati heading to South Carolina. So we will talk about that. It is also National Signing Day, so we'll talk about TCU football's signing class, and as well as women's basketball, as they have a top 10 clash with South Carolina. But first, Seth, how are you doing today? Lots
I
going
was good.
on.
I know whenever we started, you know, we were like, okay, we're going to do this episode today on Wednesday. Was not expecting it to be this jam packed. Expecting just to preview South Carolina TCU, going to be a great game, and then talk a little bit about the signing class. But now, I mean, almost the whole, atmosphere around TCU athletics has been blown to smithereens, and now we got to parse through it.
Let's do it. This is just some shocking news. My jaw dropped when I saw this that TCU athletic director Jeremiah Donati is taking up the job at South Carolina. This was reported by multiple media outlets this morning, most notably Pete Thamel um, reporting this. This comes as a shock. ADJD, as we call him, has been with us since 2017. He's been he's been the athletic director since 2017. He's been at the school since 2011, and all of a sudden, this news drops that he's heading to South Carolina. It just so happens that TCU women's basketball is playing their biggest game, maybe ever, against South Carolina this weekend, but pretty wild news, Seth. What is your first reaction to this news?
My first reaction was actually a positive one towards him, was that he's probably getting a pretty big pay increase because of this. I do not know Jeremiah Donati, but he seems like a guy who really likes his university, really loves his university, and cares about it. And I don't think he would leave unless someone was waving a lot of money in front of him. And it's an SEC school. It's a SEC school in South Carolina that is becoming more and more interested in spinning in athletics. The women's basketball team is really good. The football team has emerged this season. The baseball team is kind of on the rise. And Jeremiah Donati is an athletic director who is willing to put money and effort into sports other than football. And I think that that's something that it looks like South Carolina is going to start prioritizing even more, specifically baseball. His Donati's support for baseball and women's basketball, two sports that South Carolina has really started to excel at lately. That's, I think, probably one of the reasons why they're going to go out there and give this hire, because you look at what Donati did at TCU. Yes, the football program was somewhat successful. I mean, they had the best season in school history while he was here, and there's been a lot of fundraising. They built that big, the renovation of the stadium was under his leadership. But he's also, he was the one who went out and hired Mark Campbell. He's the one who hired Kirk Sarlos. And he's the one who has, reinvested a lot of support and money into other sports other than football here at TCU. And so I think he is an attractive hire person for an athletic director at other schools. And I mean, it sucks that he's going to go away, but I'd say it's deserved. I think he's earned a quote unquote pay raise. And if TCU wasn't able to give it to him, then South Carolina was.
Yeah, from a school perspective, it is interesting going from TCU to South Carolina, but obviously the pay uh, must be pretty large in order for him to want to take this job. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. Obviously, this is a really good opportunity for him, and I mean, I have a lot of gratitude for what he's done for TCU, and not just excelling in a couple of sports, but a couple years ago we were kind of talking about TCU being an everything school, just excelling in a bunch of different programs. And like you said, the hire of Mark Campbell instantly transforming TCU into a powerhouse, and what they've been able to do with basketball in general. And people have taken a lot more interest in TCU basketball. and a lot of that has to do with Jeremiah Donati. Not to mention what TCU volleyball has done this season and hiring Jason Williams and the impact that is made on TCU volleyball, becoming a top 25 team in the country. They've made the tournament 3 years in a row. So I'm excited for him, and it really does suck that we're losing him.
I mean, and he was also the one who hired Sonny Dykes. So that is, I mean, a lot of hires were made under his. I mean, he was only here for what, 7 years. A lot of stuff happened while he was here. Um, and yes, the football program has been, on the whole, not very successful in his tenure here. Um, but and he also was the one who pushed out Gary Patterson, who is a legend. I would say that it was the right thing to do, maybe not the right manner to do it, but um, he had the guts to pull the trigger on that. And obviously, the early returns on that are that TCU is moving in a more positive direction because of it. So yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happened. I'm interested though because, and this is kind of the really big shakeup now. TCU is also having a chancellor change this year as well, and that chancellor, who is David Pullen, who's Daniel Pullen, is it David? Daniel,
Daniel.
David, Daniel Pullen, who is the president right now, will become the chancellor, and he theoretically will be responsible for the new AD hire. And it is an extremely important hire. The landscape of college athletics is changing every day. I mean, there is stuff in the house right now that we're talking about revenue sharing for college athletes. What does that look like? Conference realignment is always a big hot topic. That new AD is going to be responsible for positioning TCU in a place to be successful in the new whatever college athletics is, to find a seat at the big boy table. That's the goal for TCU. And that AD is going to be responsible for that. And so, therefore, Pullen and his leadership and his regime here as the chancellor are going to be responsible for that as well, because they're going to have to hire that man. Not to even to mention that the AD and everyone, are kind of like the first line of fire in between other schools coming in to poach head coaches. Mark Campbell is going to be a very attractive option for other schools that are wanting to invest in their women's basketball programs and are willing to pay money, right? Uh, and TCU's got to find a way to keep him here, right? That's just one of many examples. So yeah, this is an extremely important time in TCU history. One, for the university, right? Because you're getting new leadership after Boschini has been here for 20 plus years. And then also, the athletics department is going to be in upheaval because, and in a time and place where it's really not a good time to have a lot of change. Like, I was really looking forward to where TC was because I thought that we were going to be really steady with everything, and now it's kind of that's kind of gone haywire. So I'm interested to see how it goes. A little nervous, but I'm interested.
I am very nervous as well with Chancellor Boschini leaving, absolute legend. I'm grateful that I was able to shake his hand at graduation a year ago. And, I've actually, you know, been able to have a couple conversations with him before, um, just casual conversations, really nice guy. And, it's a change in that as well for the university. Curious to see what happens with the tuition hike. A lot of TCU students and people in the community are concerned about that, but we'll see. But back to this, the implications with the athletics. Yeah, it's a big, big decision, and I'm really curious to see who they will hire. Do you have any ideas of who they might go after? I'm not familiar with the
I
athletic director.
The hot stove
Field.
for the athletic directors? Yeah, no, I don't I don't know. If they do what they did last time when Chris Del Conte left for Texas back in 2017, then they're gonna hire in-house, 'cause that's what Donati was. He was an in-house hire. That's the cheapest option. Um, but if you wanna go poach someone else's, I just don't know where TCU stands in the pecking order of athletic directors, and how attractive this AD job is. I can judge it based on like for the individual sports how attractive the job is, but I don't really know on the whole if you put everything together. I think it's a pretty attractive school in terms of athletics for a job like this. I think the pay is pretty good, and I think there's buy-in and support from boosters and fans and everything like that. Um, but my bet would be an in-house hire, and I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it would be. I can't. I'm not familiar again with, uh, in-house who TCU could go to, but it's a big, big decision for sure, especially with the landscape of college sports, and TCU's in a good spot in some of these sports, and it's going to be a big decision. But we wanted to open up the episode with that. Again, Jeremiah Donati heading to South Carolina to take on that position over there as athletic director. But we'll talk a little bit of football, try to keep this a little brief, but today was National Signing Day, and TCU head football coach Sonny Dykes announced the signing of 29 student athletes on Wednesday. The Horned Frogs class is rated number 1 in the Big 12 for the first time, and its number 20 national ranking is the highest in program history. It's an impressive, impressive job from Sonny Dykes and company. It's 20 of the 25 high school signees are from the state of Texas, and it's exciting for sure. I mean, I'm very excited to see if these players can make an immediate impact for next season. But Seth, you kind of talked about this in the last episode, how this could be a sign that TCU, the future is looking bright.
Yeah. What's also impressive is that they were able to sign everyone today. Usually there was no drama with anyone, flipping at all today. They got everyone. They got all 29 in.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so that's very impressive. Um, I'm on on 3 Twitter, 24/7 Sports Twitter, and there's like all these flips and decommitments and whatnot. There was at least externally, there might have been internally, maybe there was some drama, but every single one of them signed. Terry Shelton, who actually decommitted from Arizona, flipped to TCU the week of the Arizona game 2 weeks ago, is the number one player in this class. Adam Schobel, as I believe how you say his name, he is the third ranked prospect in this class. He is a quarterback from Columbus, Texas. Every time you get a QB in, it's a notable thing. So theoretically, the QB room next year, if no one transfers out, Hoover, Haney, and probably redshirt Schobel would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes me very confident that those players are going to stay is that Haney is he's a TCU legend student. His dad played at TCU. Um, it's his dream to play here. I think he's going to wait it out as long as he can if he has an opportunity here, and I think he will eventually. And then Schobel as well has really expressed his want to play at TCU. So encouraged by that. But yeah, like according to 24/7 Sports, there's 5 4-stars in this class. The rest are 3-stars. Um, yeah, it's a really good overall class. 29 is a lot of freshmen to take in. If you just look at other schools in the Big 12, Colorado has the second ranked recruiting class. They're only taking in 15 commits. The reason it's so high is that 7 of them are 4-star prospects. So TCU not only has the highest ranked recruiting class, but they're taking in the most. 29 is the most out of any Big 12 school. So it's very much a very cumulative class that hopefully will stay together, stick together, and develop well. And if that happens, the end result of that is the 2022 season. A lot of those players in that 2022 team were in the 2019 and 2020 class, and they had stuck around and they had developed, and then it all right there, it all comes together. That's what TCU is. TCU is not a reload year where we're going to have 10-2, 11-1 constantly. That's what we're trying to build towards. But right now, it's a team and a program where you're developing for 2 years and then you hit a big one, right? That's what a lot of these Big 12 schools are. TCU is going to try to be the best at that. And hopefully this signing class is a step in that direction.
All very good points. I'm not familiar with high school players and the rankings and all that. That's not my area of expertise. I'm becoming more and more familiar with with high school football in Texas and kind of what's been the landscape there, but not growing up here, I'm not as familiar with it. But yeah, very very exciting. I'm super thrilled about that, and the fact that you mentioned that everyone signed, that's huge. And you want to start building towards the future and start um, getting these top recruiting classes. So very, very exciting for TCU for sure.
My other point about signing day as a whole is that it is so dumb that National Signing Day is today. Why? The season is still happening for pretty much everybody.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
transfer portal opens in like a couple of days too. It's like, what are we doing?
I know. I feel like at the very least, the transfer portal should like nobody should be entering the transfer portal before the season ends.
Yes. We're gonna have some players. One, like there's gonna be times where a key player on a playoff team transfers out and doesn't play in the playoffs. That's gonna happen. Maybe not this year, but it's gonna happen at some point, and it's gonna be ridiculous.
It is. It's going to be wild. I don't know why they do that, but maybe next week we can talk about the transfer portal and what
Mhm.
TCU is doing and whatnot. But for our final point here, I guess, and we got to talk about TCU women's basketball. Um, wow. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It has been just a tremendous week and a tremendous season for for Mark Campbell and this TCU team. They went and played in the Cayman Islands Classic over Thanksgiving break, and they had a clash with number 3 Notre Dame in a high school gym on Flow Sports.
It was actually a cafeteria.
Oh my gosh.
No,
I
I'm just
was
kidding.
oh, I mean looking at the pictures, I'm like, are we playing in like a middle school, high school gym? What is this?
Yeah, it was pretty an unceremonious place to be playing the biggest game in program history for sure. Um, and then the whiplash that you're going to get from playing in that arena against number 3 Notre Dame last week to playing in a fairly sizable arena in Dickey's Arena on Sunday. It's just like totally two different types of atmospheres and places.
It is unbelievable. But it was a great win for the Horned Frogs, knocking off the Irish and finding themselves in the top 10 in the AP poll. They're currently number 9 in the country. It's the highest they've ever been in program history, and it's all thanks to this win and also beating NC State in an undefeated start to this season. The Horned Frogs won 76-68. Sedona Prince, I'm sure you've heard, was just unbelievable. 20 points, 20 rebounds, and 8 blocks. I don't think I have ever seen that stat line in the modern era in college or professional. It was just a monster performance. And then pair that with Haley Van Lith, who had 21 points and 7 assists. Those two together might just be the best duo in college basketball for I mean, just it's been unbelievable. They've been so tremendously they've mixed so well together. That's the big thing. Is their chemistry, you would think it would take a little bit of time, but they've worked so well together. And yeah, I'm ready to say it. They're the best duo in women's college basketball. They have been the top players on this team, and it's been so fun to watch.
This whole team though, like, is gelling. That's what's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Is like this is a team that's filled with a bunch of players from all over the place. And for 2 years in a row where Mark Campbell's built teams that are filled with a bunch of transfers, they gel right off the bat. It's kind of nuts. But this year it's even more impressive because you're doing it against tougher opponents. And I mean, TCU has the ranked win over NC State. NC State isn't ranked anymore for what it is worth. They've kind of hit a little bit of a tailspin, but that's still very impressive. And then you parlay that into Notre Dame in the Cayman Islands, and now You get South Carolina. Well, first you get FAU. Take care of business against FAU first tomorrow night or tonight.
Tonight.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, tonight. When we're recording this, at least on Wednesday,
Yes.
and then South Carolina, which was what we've all been looking forward to this entire season. Not that I was looking past NC State and Notre Dame, but this was the real dessert. Like we've had our meal, we had our appetizer, we had our meal, and now it's time for some chocolate cake. Like this is gonna be delicious. I am so looking forward to this. Win or lose, this is just gonna be such a cool moment for TCU athletics. It's gonna be even stranger because Jeremiah Donati is just gonna be straddling the two benches as he tries to decide what to do with his life.
Yeah. Really odd time
Really
to
odd subplot to the basketball game. Half of me wants to go just to like see where he sits. And yeah, this is the time. This is going to be it. I think we already know that this team is really good. Win or lose against South Carolina, right? I don't like my expectations don't really change if they lose, but if they win, I feel like I say this every single time they played a big game this year, Zion. If they win, I might just start levitating.
I might too, honestly. Um, but yeah, it's like every ranked matchup has gotten bigger. Like okay, ooh, I just hit my mic. The first matchup against NC State was like okay, let's just kind of see, get a little bit of an idea of how legit this team is. And they went out there and they won, and they looked pretty good doing it, but didn't play their best. And I was like, okay, like that's solid. We're heading in the right direction. And then this win over Notre Dame was like, okay, this team is absolutely legit, and especially because they were trailing by a lot in the second half, and they outscored Notre Dame 31-12 in the fourth quarter, which was extremely impressive. It just shows me that this team, with how much experience they have playing college basketball, they can't be phased. It doesn't matter how much they're losing by, where they're playing, what the situation is. They're able to overcome it because they have so much experience that's spearheaded by this trio of Haley Van Lith, Madison Connor, and Sedona Prince. But now this matchup with South Carolina is like, okay, now you get the big dog. You get the reigning national champion. You get Don Staley in South Carolina in Dickies Arena. I'm excited. I think they can hang with them. And if they win, we're talking about a potential Elite Eight, Final Four TCU women's basketball team. I know it's December. I don't care. This team is the
The,
truth.
what's
They
the
are
point
the
of
truth even
podcasting
if
if I
they're the truth even if they lose, by the way. I'm
yeah.
just saying. But if they win, oh my goodness.
I mean, what's the point of podcasting if not to jump to conclusions?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm right there with you. If they win, this is a team that the expectations then become a really deep postseason run if everyone stays healthy, right? I mean, the expectations, at least right now for me, are to at least win the Big 12 in the regular season.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, it's I have to frame the women's basketball conversation about TCU in a weird way because if you can frame it in two different ways. You can frame it in this season specifically, where the expectations are high because this team is good, and you want them to meet those expectations, or you can frame it in the sense of the last like 10 years of TCU women's basketball, where they could win 20 games and that'd be a good season. It's like really weird, right? So I think I'll go middle ground, and I think that's where we should all stick. But that's not fun. So just go for undefeated, like 45-0 or whatever, beating everyone in their path. Sedona Prince averages 20-20, and this entire roster gets drafted in the top 10, and then we go home. That's my
I
hyperbolic TC women's basketball stance.
can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that. But I think another thing too is with this team is because they're so experienced, this team is going to look a lot different next season. But I'm confident that if Mark Campbell's been able to build this kind of roster in his second season at TCU, where a couple years ago we won one conference game, and 2 years later we are number 9 in the country. I'm fully confident that he can go out there and recruit, get some good players to come into the program, and then also hit the transfer portal hard. So that I'm not necessarily concerned about, but this is a really talented team, and we probably only have one shot at making a really deep run. So at least with this team and this group of players. So let's make the most of it and go out there and do it. They've proven already that they can beat the top teams in the country. It's just, can they apply that as the season goes on, and can they do it in March, assuming they stay healthy?
Do you think they get it done on Sunday?
I think they can. Um, I'm not going to be like shocked if they lose this game, because South Carolina is obviously a powerhouse. Now, they have lost to UCLA this season, so it's not like they're undefeated, but um, it may, if it was at Schollmeyer, I think it would be a bit of a different story. I think we would be, I mean, this game would be sold out. This Scholey would be rocking. You have home court advantage. You still kind of do because it's in Fort Worth, but I don't know how many people,
It's a
especially
deterrent.
students,
Yeah.
how many students are going to go out of their way to go to Dickies to watch this game and have to pay for it instead of just going for free?
Yeah. I think I'm right there with you. Wouldn't be shocked if they lost, but with how they've played this year, would also not be surprised if they pulled this one out.
Hmm.
I think I'm going to err towards the side of this being the first L of the year. There's no disrespect in that. South Carolina is a really good basketball team, and there's no shame in losing to the reigning national champions, especially whenever that team had like a 40-plus game win streak coming into this season that was only snapped like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
don't think there's any shame in that. But man, I think that the expectation in that locker room though is to go out there and compete and win, and I love that.
I
And
do too.
there would be TCU women's basketball teams in the past where, um, yeah, sure, they expect like you want to go out there and win, but I could feel like there would probably be a sense in the locker room where it's like we can't get it done against those guys.
Yeah.
But this team believes they can, so therefore they can. That's kind of how that works. And they also have the talent too, because we've seen it happen. So I think I'm going to err towards the side of an L, but I definitely think that everyone in that locker room and a lot of fans in Fort Worth should believe that they can get it done.
I just want to say quickly about Mark Campbell. He might be my favorite coach on campus, honestly. Being able to go to a few press conferences with him, the energy that he brings, the passion he brings for basketball is unmatched. And he has so much belief in his players. And it's inspirational, honestly. And watching these behind the scenes videos on Twitter, and, seeing how this team has already come together with so many new faces, it's so fun to watch. And I think Mark Campbell has really gotten this team to believe, and I think that they can go out there and compete with anyone. And I just love the job that Mark Campbell's done. I got to give him more praise cuz he's done miracles on me.
Yeah, I mean he's the most um like he's the best story on campus in terms of a coach, I think.
And he
Um
came from Sac State, so shout out.
and he's from Sacramento State. There has been a history of Sacramento State's uh, head coaches that have been poached not going really great. I'm looking at you, Arizona. You get a Sac State guy, and then you immediately go 3-9 or whatever they went. I don't know, but now it's all in front of them. Like it's just December too, and we're having these discussions, which might be a little bit overzealous of us, but I don't know what's the fun in that. Hey guys, TCU women's basketball has not been good in like my entire life, so please, like just give us a treat this once where we can talk like it's talk with our hair on fire. Um, yeah, this is really exciting. It's gonna be weird. There's gonna be kind of like a hangover after this game because TCU then plays Louisiana Tech, Samford, UCF, Brown, and it's like, well, none of those are South Carolina.
Yeah, TCU beat UCF with nobody last year. So, I mean, we literally beat them with a volleyball player and a couple of walk-ons. So, that's kind of just shows you where UCF is at. Yeah, and then they have FAU tonight. So, before South Carolina, take care of business against FAU. And I think a part of where that excitement comes from is because the men's team has not been that good so far. They've disappointed, and so it's like, okay, well, I think the excitement would have been there regardless, but it's kind of shifted more to women's, and it's a
Yeah.
good thing. And I'm glad they're getting the attention because they deserve it.
Yeah, everyone has to kind of channel their basketball energies into one place now, other than dividing the spoils. Because unfortunately, if you lose to Santa Clara and Colorado State on my Thanksgiving, then I'm sorry. Then I'm just not going to love you.
It's a little hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the men's team
Also,
will. Sorry, go ahead.
I have inside sources about the attendance at the Acrisure Invitational, at the very least.
Uh oh.
Um, I'll give credit to Luke Anderson, who's a basketball manager on the team. He said, quote, no one was there except for parents of players. And also the basketball court that we were playing on was like the same one that the Seattle Kraken's minor league hockey team uses, and they were practicing in the other building, and we could hear them. I know, isn't that weird?
Wow, that is weird. I mean, I was watching the Colorado State game. I was like, there's no one there. Why there would be anyone there? I mean, I wouldn't expect people to be watching TCU take on Colorado State on Black Friday in California, but
Yeah, I have real questions about the economics of these invitationals on Thanksgiving week that aren't like the big ones, you know? Like there's Maui where like it's like a small gym, but it's like packed because like there's like these awesome teams playing. There's the Bahamas one that's always really fun. The Battle for Atlantis is a good time. Um,
this one
but this what's the appeal
to
for
have Santa
spectators?
to have Santa Clara, TCU, Colorado State, and Washington. I don't know, a little weird, a little weird. Yeah,
I got
men's
nothing. TCU
team.
did finish fourth out of four though, so
Yeah,
good job, guys.
yeah, the men's team has lost 3 out of their last 4 games. They'll take on Xavier, number 22 in the country, I believe, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Um, gotta win it. Gotta have it. Can't lose 3 in a row. If you want to get the people back invested in this team, you probably gotta win this game. Um, because there's gonna be a lot of concern heading into conference play.
Yeah, and TCU's performance this year is not the reason for this, but I'm concerned about the Big 12 and the basketball prowess of the conference this year. Did you see what the SEC did the ACC last night in the SEC ACC Challenge?
Mm-mm.
It went 9-0.
The SEC went 9-0.
Yeah,
Oh my
and there's still like 6
goodness.
more games today.
Oh man. Yeah, Big 12, Arizona has fallen off a cliff. I don't know where they're at. Not ranked, but currently last in the Big 12. Houston is 4-3 along with TCU. Yikes.
Brett Yormark in shambles right now in the league office.
This is the one sport we need. Come on, guys. Like, pull it together. We we need men's basketball to be good. Women's basketball is doing fine. We got like 4 ranked teams. Men's basketball, let's figure this thing out.
Brett Yormark, yeah,
Kansas is like the meme of like holding the heavy boulder.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they are carrying this conference right now, and Iowa State.
Brett Yormark is in Irving right now, pacing the halls of the Big 12 league office, just like, all right, so okay, We can't go get UConn because apparently they suck now. We gotta. Oh, Gonzaga's going to the Pac-12. Drake, Loyola Chicago. Just somebody.
Somebody, please help us out.
Does Dusty May
Ah,
still coach at FAU? Crap. No.
uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah. Weird start for the Big 12, but hey, there's still time, and hopefully for TCU, time to get back and bounce back for sure. They got to figure it out.
Hopefully. Um, I don't have any expectation that they will, though.
Yeah, I think men's basketball can be a bit of a question mark at this point for sure. I wouldn't say full on panic mode yet, but it's trending that way given how they played. But maybe because they were like in a different arena, they weren't playing somewhere that they normally play in. I
Here,
don't
do you want
know.
to? Here, Zion. Let's be overzealous. Are you ready? This is man. This might be a little bit. This might be too much, but I'm gonna. It's a thought exercise.
Okay.
Um, Jamie Dixon's been here since 2016, I believe.
Yes.
So Chris Del Conte made that hire. And Donati stuck with him. There's some trials. There's some good stuff, and there's some more trials. There's gonna be a new AD in town. What's their perspective on men's basketball? It's just my thought.
Yeah. Not sure.
I'm
I
not. I'm not like trying to say anything. I'm just saying that depending on the makeup of that athletic director, they might want to make a change.
Yeah. We'll see. We shall see. Wow,
And
that was
and
a
that
lot.
goes for all the other coaches too. That not just for Dixon. That goes for everyone.
Absolutely.
Uh, I don't think that'll happen because you don't really come in as a new AD and then just start.
Letting guys go.
Yeah, that's not really what you do unless it's like completely necessary. But I don't know, especially in a time and a place where we don't really know what we're going to be doing with all this money. There might be revenue sharing. There might not be as much for buyouts and stuff like that. But it's certainly a question that's been
It is.
rattling through my head as after I heard this news. One of the many questions that's been rattling through my head is, what about that?
We'll see who TCU goes with for their new athletic director. It is maybe the most important decision this university has had to make with athletics in quite some time. Uh, they're going through a lot of changes right now, not with just athletics, but as a university itself. And you know, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Change is weird.
at
Change is
least
very weird.
you know maybe we'll have less fireworks now. That's sad.
That's true. Yeah, maybe less fireworks or maybe less concerts. I don't know.
Here's my pick. Yeah, okay. All right. So tuition's increasing again. I know this doesn't matter for anyone who does not go to TCU. I'm graduating in like a week and a half, so this is not mattering for me either. But if we're going to increase tuition, I feel like we should take away some of the extracurriculars. Not to be, all meanie poo poo rain on the parade fun pants, but really, do we really need Offset to come perform in front of like 10 people? No.
Yes, we do. The Flo Rida concert was fun, though. I will say that was a lot of fun. Other ones have not been as great. They haven't lived up to Flo.
Who it was Kesha, and then who was it after that?
There's like surfaces, um, other people, but
Yeah,
anyways,
Ross Lynch was here this year.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we had Oscar Nunez from The Office. Um, we've had
One of the Sprouse twins was here
Sprouse
a couple weeks ago.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sprouse twins. Yeah, we've had a lot of different people at TCU. Um, Some of that can be cool though, for sure. But
Some of it is cool. I just want to know how much we're paying these folks.
I do too. I think a lot of people want to know that, but we'll probably never find out that information. Uh, okay, that was a very loaded episode. Lots that we discussed. It was fun though. I think that was a really good time talking about TCU as a university and with athletics and with football and basketball. Just so much happening in Fort Worth right now. But that'll finish things up here for this episode of Believe in TCU. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page, or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, all at Believe in TCU. So for Seth Dowdle, I'm Zion Trammell. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, go Frogs.